Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll start the session today then. So just to recap then on yesterday, we looked at the homepage of Relay. We talked about the search options. We talked about the quotation buttons and also the buttons at the base here, quick load for creating a client portfolio in Relay for more of a personal lines portfolio. And then the new button is what you can use to create a company portfolio. And then I gave you guys a walk around of a client portfolio itself in terms of accessing the client details, policy information, and also risk information. So today what we want to do is we want to look at the quotation engines that are built into Relay. So specifically motor, home and van. And I'll touch on the commercial trades quote engine. And then I'll also talk about the other button, which is what you use to load up any other type of policy. Okay. So as per yesterday, guys, if anybody has any questions, feel free to just type them into the chat facility. I'll answer them as I see them. If you can just make sure you keep yourselves on mute just throughout, please. Again, I'll send you a recording of this at the end of the session. So the first thing we're going to start off with this morning is the motor quotes. Okay, so at the base of the screen, you can see that there's three buttons here, the new quotation buttons. So home, motor, van. So obviously to do a motor quote, we click on the motor button. So we looked at this briefly yesterday, and I explained that the first thing that the system does when you click the motor button is actually try and do a search for the client. So if I just put in some details here, click search, you can see here this particular client with this date of birth is not on the system. But it is an important part of the process, because if there was a result, I should be clicking OK and saving the quote in that client portfolio. So I mentioned yesterday that you cannot merge duplicate clients together. Okay, we can delete a duplicate client, or sorry, a portfolio that was created in error, but we cannot merge them together if you've made two of them. It's not possible to do that. So just be careful when you're creating them. So in this case, you can see here the client is not on the system, so I'm going to click New Client, and then the proposer screen opens up. So what the system is going to do is it's going to continuously give me the screens that I need in order to get the motor quotations. So I just need to fill in these screens one at a time. So I'm just going to start off with departments. I mentioned this yesterday. Each brokerage can have their own departments. It can be personal lines, commercial lines, as I have it here, or you might have it broken down by the actual the office location. So Dublin, Wexford, Cork, etc. So again, I'm just going to fill in this information. In terms of the address, we do have an air code lookup, which I definitely recommend. So if the client actually knows their code, click air code lookup, then you can see that the address actually comes up. Okay. Alternatively, if you don't know the address, you can just put in address. So you can see what I'm actually doing here with the address, because I'm skipping address line 2, because town and county go into 3 and 4. So 3 and 4 are town and county. So that's basically why I'm skipping 2. I wouldn't be putting Castleknock into address line 2. That's not what I need. I need to go into address line 3. So that's generally the way it looks. And then if I click air code lookup, the system will find the code, and I just press OK, and then it adds it in. So it's a lot easier if you have the code. It'll speed up the process. Again, if you have it, just fill in the rest of the personal details and then press OK. So that's the proposer information filled in. So that's basically what we need to create the client portfolio. So when we're actually finished this process, the client portfolio will be created and the motor quote will be saved. So that's another one of the wins of using this button. It'll check to see if the client's already there, and it'll create the portfolio, and it'll save the quote. So definitely the button to be using. Residence in state, again, this is just based on how long they've been in the country. If they're a national, just put in their date of birth. If they're foreign national, then you just need to ask them how long they've been in the country. Okay, so obviously for some insurance companies, that's particularly relevant. The rest of this information has been filled in already. So I'm just going to go up to the top right-hand corner and fill this in. So occupation, again, you can do a search here. If I put in SOL real quick, it'll bring me to solicitor. So you can scroll up and down, or you can just type in the first 2 or 3 letters of the occupation name, and it'll bring it up. So again, I can just do the same thing with the employer's business. So there is a drop-down list, or you can just type it in real quick and it'll come up. Employment status, I'll leave it unemployed. And then license type, again, you have different options here. Just be careful. If you pick full EU license, you need to pick the country of origin. Okay. However, if it is an Irish national, then just pick full Irish and then pick the country. Okay. Date of first issued. And then if you know it, you can put in the driver's license number. You do need the license number for Aviva to quote on Relay. They won't quote without it. You certainly won't be able to incept without it. So for now, for a quote, you can just put in a string of ones, but you do need it for Aviva. Then the section below, this is basically where you can fill in some extra details. Full-time use of another car. You know, if they were a taximan or a tradesman with an LCV vehicle, it is worth actually ticking it, because some insurance companies will give them a discount because the idea is they're using two vehicles, the risk is reduced. Okay, but they would normally need to provide a certificate of insurance to prove that. So it is, Relay is quite a sensitive system in terms of quotations. Ticking some of these options and picking different occupations. So, you know, maybe there's a couple of ways you could go with the occupation in terms of an explanation or a selection, and that could result in maybe a cheaper or a dearer quote. So it's a very sensitive system. Any driver qualifications is normally only used for young drivers. You can see if you click on it here, you can access the ignition courses. So yeah, if it's a young driver, you could ask them about that and fill it in. Medical conditions, claims, convictions, penalty points. You can see they're all 0 at the moment because I haven't added anything in. So yeah, you can just fill these in. So just look at claims, for example. If you want to add in a claim, just click the box, double click on add new, and then just fill in the claim details. So you just need to fill in dates, type of claim, what was the total value, and if it involved a third party, how much did they get? You can see that there's boxes here. Were they at fault? Were there injuries? Was the bonus affected? And is it settled? That last one is particularly important. If you don't tick it, chances are a lot of the motor insurers won't quote, okay? Because they don't want to deal with a claim that's not settled, because they can in theory inherit that claim. So if you're filling in a claim, make sure, obviously ask the customer the question, is it settled? Just make sure it is ticked, or else you're going to have a problem at the back end of the system. You're not going to have many quotes. So if you are filling in a claim, just fill in the information and click add. And then if you need to fill in additional claims, you can just click the green plus button again and fill it in. The medical conditions is the same. Just double click on that, fill in the date that they were diagnosed and the type of condition, and add. So is convictions. Convictions is the same thing. Just double click, fill it in, and just make sure you're ticking all the relevant boxes and making all the selections. Penalty points, I'll just fill in some penalty points here because this is the most common scenario that they will have, maybe for speeding or braking or using the mobile phone while driving is a common one. They're the most two common ones. Probably 95% of penalty points occur under those two, I would say. So if you click on the box, it's a little bit different to the other three options. You click add, click on the drop-down list. There's braking speed restriction. And then if you scroll down, you'll see using mobile phone while driving. So it's not under M. Most people go for M. On the list, it's not. It's there, using mobile phone while driving. So that's what you pick: braking speed restriction or using mobile phone. One thing to say about penalty points, guys, if you're adding them in, you need to do them separately. So if a customer said to you, I have 6 penalty points, well, chances are that they probably have at least two penalty points issues. So they've been stopped twice for different reasons, so they need to be entered in twice. Do not put in 6 points for a braking speed restriction. That will not rate correctly, and in theory you could put it on cover and the insurance company could void it. So don't do that. So make sure all these penalty points go in separately. So I'm just going to add that in and press OK. You can actually see now the 0 has gone to 3. So this is useful when you're actually doing MTAs or the the paperwork's coming from the customer with their no claims bonus. You can actually go in and look at the risk screen and see, did we actually note any claims at the point of quotation and inception? Because on the bonus, that information would be visible. So you can quickly check. On the left-hand side, these are the more serious issues. So have they ever been refused cover, any motor convictions, prosecutions pending, and imposed terms? If you tick any of these, chances are nearly everybody won't quote. It's again a common mistake I see for new users. They accidentally ticked one of these, and then they wonder why all the insurers are in referrals. So that's chances are. So my advice, guys, is if you have a large panel of insurers and schemes and you see nearly everyone in referrals and you're kind of saying to yourself, well, there seemed to be an okay risk. I didn't really know anything serious. What's going on? Chances are you've just ticked one of these boxes. And that's the reason why. So you can just go back and untick it. No big deal. At the end here, you have to tick this. So has the driver given consent to capture medical conditions and convictions? So in other words, you have to tick this box to say that they're giving you permission to ask these questions. So it is something you do have to tick. Okay, so it's part of the GDPR rules that came in, I think, early last year. So you have to tick that box. So once you filled it all in, press OK. And then the next thing that's happening here is the vehicle details screen is coming up. So as I said, it's quite user friendly. The system is just going to present the next screen one after the other. The good news about Relay is we have a car reg search engine built into it. So just put in the reg and click search, and then the system hopefully will find the correct car. Now, I wouldn't take it as gospel, guys, that this is exactly the right car. You need to just double check with them. Like 99% it is the right car, but just double check with them and say, listen, is that a Kia Sport 1.7? Yes, great, good. Just a point to note is this only finds Irish car registrations. It doesn't work with UK registrations. Okay? So if it's a UK registered car, what you'd actually have to do is go into the car search area. So if I go into here, tick this box, it opens up, I suppose, the car directory that's in Relay. So you can manually pick the make, the model, and the CC and click filter, and the system will show you possible options. What you'd also have to do is untick that box, Ireland registered, because it'll stop you if you have that ticked. So you can't have a UK reg and have it Ireland registered. It's one or the other. So just to recap, if it's an Irish registration, put it in, click search, it'll find it for you. If it's a UK reg, put in a UK reg, don't bother clicking search because it's not going to find it. Just click here and pick it manually, and then make sure that's unticked. Yeah. Like ideally with UK registrations, because they want to get them re-registered in Ireland as soon as possible. The insurance companies will always charge you more for UK registered cars. So my advice when I was selling car insurance back in the day was go off, get it re-registered and come back to us, you get a cheaper price. Alternatively, we can set it up with the UK reg now, and then once it is re-registered, we could do a midterm adjustment and possibly get a refund. Again, it all depends on the insurers. They're all different. So I'm just going to fill in the rest of this information here. So LHD is left-hand drive. Imported, was it imported? Modified, if it is modified, what type of modification is on it? And then finally, is there any security, like alarm or immobilizer? So I would fill this in. Again, you might get a small little discount, maybe an extra tenner off with some of the insurers for a little bit of extra security. So it is worth filling it in. Up the top right-hand corner, it wants to know where the area of main use and location. So this customer is based in Castleknock, Dublin 15. So I'm just going to pick Castleknock, Dublin 15, or Dublin 15 anyway. Okay, that's generally what the advice is from insurance companies. Just put in the area wherever they live. Where do they keep the car? So I'll say it's parked in the driveway. And then how many miles that I do per annum? That is mileage, it's not kilometers. So yeah, just to clarify, we haven't never changed that. So that is still in miles. Just check it. And then here you can put in business mileage. Okay. Now this isn't a way of switching on or giving them class 2 or 3. You're just literally noting business mileage. That will come up in the next screen. The ability to give them class 2 or class 3. The rest of this you don't really have to worry about. Non-standard audio value, car phone, no, don't worry about that. And then registered owner, well, it should be on the proposer. Okay. There is a way in Relay you can swap people around in this, but I'll just keep it simple and leave it on proposer. And as I said, Ireland registered is correct in this case because we've done a car registration search. Yeah. Sometimes, guys, just on the registration, sometimes the car might be too new and it may not be in the database. So we get these car details from Insicom, and if a new car comes onto the market, you know, I don't know, 202 or whatever it is at the moment, that may not be in the database. So again, that's a situation where you have to go into the database and pick it manually as close as you can. And you might want to put a phone call across to the insurer before you actually incept it, because in theory they could come back to you and say, well, you incepted it and it wasn't quite the right model. And you saying to them, well, it wasn't in Relay is not an excuse. You'll have to call them and make sure it's okay with them. Okay, so don't assume that because it wasn't in the Relay system, you're off the hook. No, the onus is always on you if you're placing business that you're putting on cover correctly, and the insurance company knows what car it is exactly. Okay, so just to stress that. Click add, and that adds in the car. So you can see here at this stage we have the Relay, the motor risk screen starting to build up. So I have the driver and I have the car. I can get back into these at any stage. I can just double click on the driver. It opens it back up. If I want to go back into the car, I do the same thing. Or if you look here, there's an amend vehicle, amend driver. So if you want to go backwards, you can. If I wanted to get back to the original screen that I filled in, just click proposer details at the base, and that opens it back up. Okay, so if you forgot to do anything here, it's worth doing it. So you can see actually just as an example, because I didn't actually take client as a homeowner. Well, why is that relevant? Well, some insurers might give you a small discount for it. So, as I said, Relay is quite sensitive in terms of the quotation engine. So literally ticking that box might give you a slightly different price from somebody who hasn't ticked it. So because the idea is the insurance company is giving them a little bit of extra discount because they want their house insurance. They figure if they're sold the motor insurance, chances are they'll get the home as well, or at least they have an opportunity to do it. So don't underestimate these little options that are knocking around the system. Up the top of the screen here, you can see here previously insured and other claims-free driving experience. Well, this section at the top is where you would note the no claims bonus. Now, I should stress, guys, if it's a live no claims bonus, okay, it's got to be a live one. They do expire after a certain period of time. I forget now whether it's 2 or 3 years, but they do expire after a certain period of time. If it's a live bonus that's still in use, then you can fill in this section at the top. So I'll just say, yeah, he's got a live bonus. He's got 9 years. Obviously, bonuses normally go to 5 or 6, but if, just ask them how many years net claims free they've been, and then put that in, and then just put in the expiry date of their policy. The country wants to know where the bonus is from. So be careful here. I've seen that people mess this up before in the past. They you kind of get into the habit of picking Ireland, but you might have had somebody who's come over from a EU country like Italy or Spain or France. That's basically what this is. It wants to know is where is this no claims bonus from? So be careful if you're dealing with a foreign national or somebody just from outside the country who's coming in. Policy number, you need to put in a number. It doesn't have to be the exact correct policy number. You can just put in a string of ones, or as I've done, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When the bonus actually comes in, whoever does your admin could fill it in, but it's not really that important. Like the insurance companies, they're not really that bothered about it. That's it. Now, as I said, down below, there is other claims-free driving experience. So what would we use this for? Well, generally we'd use it for name driver experience. That would probably be the most common reason you'd fill in this section, or company car experience. Okay, they're the 2 main reasons. Now, just to point out, if they have a bonus and they have like at least 3 years, there's no point in filling in this name driver section. All you're going to do is trigger a response on the system for them to fill in or to send in letters of name driver experience, when in actual fact they have not benefited from a better price. It will literally make no difference. So generally, once you have 3 years plus no claims bonus, the fact that they're a named driver on their spouse's car or whatever really will make no odds. So it kind of depends what you're dealing with. But certainly the most common scenario is if I'm filling in name driver experience, chances are I'm quoting a young driver and they've been a named driver on their parents' policy, okay? I do stress it is claims-free driving experience. So this cannot be filled in at all if they've had any type of claim, okay? So I filled in the bonus. I've said that the policy finishes on the 15th, so I'm going to set this up for the 16th at a minute past midnight. Okay, so that's generally how we set these up, because this will run to 23:59. So we set this up for a minute past, just to clearly differentiate the 2 policies. Cover required. Again, I'm assuming everybody on this call knows the difference between these levels of cover. If you don't, feel free to email me. I'm happy to give you a little training course that can tell you the difference. So pick the one you want. So I'll go with comp. Voluntary excess. My advice, guys, is to stay away from voluntary excesses in our motor quotation system. It doesn't tend to make much of a difference to the price, which is pretty much the point. all you're going to do is increase their excess. So this is a voluntary excess. So this is an additional excess amount that they would have to pay. So for example, if AIG's excess was 250 and I picked 100, they would now have to pay 350 in the event of a claim themselves. And chances are it really won't make much difference. So my advice is just to leave it on 0. Class of use, again, because I don't have the time to kind of go through these different levels of cover. I assume you know what they are, but there they are. So I'll just pick STP. And then no claims discount protection. So we have full, and we generally have step back, or if they want, they can have none. Now, a lot of these policies tend to come with step back as standard. So generally, the question would normally be is, do you want step back? Are you happy with that? Or do you want to go for full no claims bonus protection, and obviously explain them the difference? That generally is always a bit of an area that comes up on service calls. They get called back. They didn't know the difference, or they weren't explained the difference, and now they're complaining because they have a claim and their bonus has been affected. So anybody who's new on motor insurance, make sure you clarify the difference between step back and full. I'm going to leave it on step back. You can see here there's a second car in family. That this is a very useful way of getting a discount or a cheaper price in the motor system. Now, obviously, there needs to be somebody else in the household that has a second car, so a spouse or a partner or a common law spouse, whatever. So if you tick the box, you can see here there's another box that opens up or can be ticked. And in here, you can fill in the details of the spouse's car. Generally, the way it works is if this second car has a higher CC than the car that's being insured, you should get a cheaper price. Because the idea here is this spouse, couple, whatever, if they're going out at the weekend or for social events, they generally would use the car with a higher CC. Okay, so that may be a very old-fashioned way of looking at it, but that's the way they kind of approach it. So if this second car belongs to a spouse and it's got a higher CC, chances are you're going to get a cheaper price. You can fill in but manually, but you can also just click on Reg Search and put in the registration and it'll fill it in, and then just fill in obviously the rest of the details here. So it is definitely worth noting. So in the event that they're adding on a spouse, which I'm going to do now just to show you. So you can see here Relay Test is on his own at the moment. We're going to add in his wife. Just one thing to note, you see valid drivers, it's currently on insured only. I don't need to change this. When I add on or remove drivers, that will change automatically. So my advice, guys, is stay away from this. This will change as I add a driver. So I'm going to do that now, add driver, and I'm just going to fill in Mrs. Relay Test. I'm just going to fill in the same kind of information. Driver frequency, I'm going to say infrequent. Relationship, she's a spouse. That's important because the spouse triggers the spouse discount in the system. And then the resident since date, so I'll just say date of birth. And then resident with proposer. So the way to get the full spouse discount on Relay is to make sure that you've noted they are a spouse and that they're a resident. You need both ticked to get the full spouse discount. Okay? They need to reside with each other. And then the rest of it, you can just fill it in. Now, just to point out, with some occupations, like say housewife, for example, if I picked housewife, I press tab, it automatically filled in those next two columns. Okay, the same thing would work for, say, unemployed. If you picked unemployed, it'll fill it in. Just to point that out. I will say she's got an Irish license. Yeah, I'll just leave her clean. I'm not going to add in any claims, convictions, or penalty points or anything like that. And add. So you can see now, look, insured, and it's changed to insured and spouse, or insured plus spouse. Okay. The only reason I would go in here to just pick something specifically is if I wanted open driving. Okay. So some insurers do offer open driving. Obviously, if I'm picking open driving, I don't necessarily need to add on a driver. It depends. There's two types of open driving. Up the top this is the most common one, any driver excluding drivers under 25 or 70, or you can actually go for this one, which is named drivers plus open driving. So if you wanted to specify a named driver, but in addition give them open driving, then that's what you could select. But for all the other types of scenarios, just adding on spouses and brothers and sisters and whoever else, the system will automatically change that for you as you add and remove them. That's all the information we need. Click calculate quote. So the system calls out, pulls back all the prices. Okay, so the premium tabs, this is everybody who's quoting. This is their price from cheapest to dearest. Then you have referrals and declines. Declines are a straightforward no, but referrals are basically means, well, if you give us some more information, we might be able to put them on cover. Most people don't bother with referrals and declines unless that referrals declines number are quite big. So if I saw a lot of your main schemes over here, it generally means is, well, they've too many claims, they're just a bad risk, or maybe you've just ticked something in error. If you need to get back, just click back to risk details, and then you can get back to the screens that you were in previously and make changes. Okay. In terms of these other options at the top here, breakdown gives you a breakdown of the premium. Notes will tell you all of the benefits that come with the policy. Endorsements or any specific rules from the insurance company. Add-ons can be important if they're in use. Add-ons are basically additional benefits that can be added onto the policy. There's generally two types of add-ons. There's the insurer add-ons, and then there's the broker add-ons. So the insurer add-ons, they generally wouldn't have too many for comp, but certainly if I togged it down and went for TPFT and I went to add-ons, most insurers will actually give you the option to add on windscreen cover or breakdown cover as an add-on. So if you want to do that, guys, all you have to do is just double click on them and click yes. And if you go back, you'll see that the price has either gone up or stay the same depending on the add-on. That's probably an error there. There probably should be an additional price for that particular add-on. But they are important. So if you have somebody who's price conscious, they don't want to pay the full comp, they want a slightly cheaper price, you could say, well, we'll go down to TPFT, and if I go into add-ons, you might be able to bump up their cover by adding on breakdown or windscreen or legal protection or whatever it is. The options at the end are your own add-ons. So you might have your own breakdown cover that you sell with your policies. You might have your own legal expenses. Anything. It's anything that you as a broker sells in addition to the motor policy to make the cover better. But it is separate from the insurance company. Okay, so maybe like map-free breakdown assistance. That's something that we used to sell back in the day in Shield. So we would have sold that as an additional add-on. It went through us rather than the insurer, and obviously then we had to communicate with them and deal with the financials of passing on premiums, etc. to them. So yeah, so then the bottom then you have a few options here. SC is the service charge. So you see there's no fee here, but I click SC and just put in whatever the charge is, 30, and tick the box, then it automatically applies the fee. So this is the area that you can control your fee. If you have some discounts with the insurance companies, you can click the override code and put in the discount code that they've given you, and it's a way of getting the price down. You may not have a discount with them, but it's generally how you can apply them. These options here, print quote, does what it says in the tin. Print proposal, this is useful because it'll allow you to generate the proposal form and store it in the documents tab of the client's file, because you might want to email it to them. So if you want to send them a quote pack and include the prop form, just tick the box and it'll save it in the documents tab of the client's file, and you'll be able to drag and drop it into an email. Store quote, if you want to store the details of this particular quote, press OK. And the store quote functionality actually allows you to store multiple quotes. So you can go back, remove the wife, get a quote on his own, store the quote, and so on and so forth. Because the idea is when you go back into the risk screen, you can click on store quote and see all of the quotes that you've saved, and it allows you to reload the one that you want to go with. Store quote is particularly useful if you get a proposer who's giving you loads of different scenarios. Give me a quote my own, give me a quote my wife, give me a quote my brother. All these different scenarios, this is useful if you use the store quote button. It saves all the quotes and specifically all the risk information behind them. So it's very useful. Print results, this is what you do to save the prices in the background, and it's what you need to do for compliance reasons. So print results, save to docs, save only, and save. And that will save all of these prices and the risk information in the documents tab of the client's file. Okay. Policy notes allows you to get into the notes screen. So if you click new notes, you can go in and put in like a quote note to say what you quoted them, what was the price. Definitely recommend it, especially if they said they're going to come back to you and you might be off, etc. So yeah, that's definitely something that you should do is store the price that you've quoted them in these details here. Sorry, just in a question. Store the prop maybe in the docs tab, please. Sorry, the prop, see the print proposal IPIT there. So if I click on it, what the system does is says, here's the prop and the IPIT. These are the printers that it's going to go to. But in this particular, and if you want to change your printers, you just click these three little dots and then you can select another printer on your network. But what I actually did there was just to show you guys, I don't want to print them. So I just untick this box to say I don't want to print. The IPIT is designed to print as standard. There's no way to untick it. So what I actually did was I went into the printer and I select PDF writer. So that's not a printer. That's just the PDF version of the document. And when I press OK, then it gives me the option just to cancel the document. Then I don't want to actually see it. Okay. So once I've done that, once I've clicked that button, it automatically stores in the Documents tab of the client's file. And then finally, guys, to put it on cover, click Accept. Now, I'm not going to go all the way with this because I'm in a live system, but if I click Accept, it says, accepting will print all the documents, make the policy permanent, and perform EDI, so it will transmit all the information to the insurance company. Do I wish to continue? Now, no, I'm going to click yes, but I just want to show you one more thing. And then what happens is, again, depends on your setup, the payment details will come up. So I'm not sure, again, every brokerage is different. You may not actually have this switched on. You might be doing everything manually on the system, but this is an example of a system that has auto posting built into it. So it's going to automatically raise up the premium and the fee, so $6.49. And now it's asking me, how have they paid you? So I have different payment options here. Cash, check, card, online card, which is the online card facility. And then if I click next, it'll ask me for the card details. Once I'm finished, then the policy will incept and it'll allow me to print off all my documents and the accounts work will be done. Okay, so I'm going to just cancel this stage because I don't actually want to put it on cover. For now, I'm just going to save it, back to risk details, exit and save. Yes, it's asking me, do I want to save all the details? And that's basically how you save it, okay? So back to risk details, exit and save, and I said yes. If I go back into file, there it is, test or 03. And there's the quote, and there's the client file. So that's basically what we have created off the back of that process. So by clicking motor and filling in all of those screens, I've ended up with a client file, test or 03, and there's the quote. To get back into it, I just right click and select risk details, and it'll open up the risk screen. So if they come back to you and says, yeah, I want to go ahead with that, and I want to keep my wife on the policy, that's how you do it. And just click calculate quote, and it'll bring you back into the prices, and then you can put it on cover. That's it. Okay, just make sure your fee is on it. If you haven't already done so, make sure you've printed and saved, you saved a copy of the results for compliance reasons, and then click accept. Okay. So that's the motor quote. Okay. Just conscious of time here, guys, I just need to speed up, okay? So now I'm going to just show you how to do a home quote. Now I have two different options for doing a home quote. I could go directly into a client's file like I'm in now and click the home button down the base. You can see it here. Now, if I click home in a client portfolio, it's automatically going to pull in this customer's details because it assumes I'm doing a home quote for Relay Test, which is correct. However, if I go back to the home page and click home, it works the same way as motor. So if I actually put in Relay Test, you can see the system is automatically checking the database to say this customer is already here. Well, at least a customer called Relay Test is here. Do you want to use this client? So in this case, I definitely do. I'm highlighting and I'm going to press OK. If it was a different customer, I can click New Client, and that would create a brand new client portfolio. Okay, but because Relay Test is there, I'm going to press OK. It's fine. This is the home page. If you right click and select new policy and home, now this kicks off the quotation for home. Okay, so you can see here I just need to pick a start date and time. So I'll just pick the next Monday, and I'll say minute past midnight. And then I just need to fill in the relevant screens. So you can see here, it's automatically pulled in the details from the portfolio that's already on file. So that all looks fine. I don't need to change anything. However, if you did need to open this up, you just need to untick this box. See contact details of portfolio, just untick it and it will open it up and you can make changes to it. Well, actually what it does is it'll wipe the details because it assumes this information that is here is not correct. Okay. Now, in this page, it is just the contact details and the correspondence address. It's not the risk address. Okay, that's coming up in a minute. But for now, I'm going to say I'm happy enough with that. Click next. And next one is the proposal details. So you can see here, I don't have any occupational details. That's a problem. RSA will not quote for me with that information like that. So I need to fix it. If I select relay test and click edit on the right hand corner, it opens it up. So now I can select his occupation. So I'll say he's a solicitor still, and he's employed. Okay. So you just need to be careful on home. If some of the information is missing, certain insurers will not quote. So I'm happy enough with that then. That's that filled in. The rest of it's okay. I could have said he's single there on it, but that's fine. So next screen is proposed property details. So this is the risk area, or the risk address, I should say. So it's saying take address from contact details. But if I want to change it to something else, I click other and I can fill it in. So if it's a holiday home or a rental property, that's basically how you would do it. Just change it from contact details to other. But if it's an owner occupier, chances are the contact details and the correspondence address is the same as the risk address. So you know yourself, you're insuring your own home, correspondence and risk would normally be the same. But again, you can never be too careful. Always have to double check these things with customers. Okay. So I'm going to leave it on contact details, and then on the right hand side is the details of the property, which I'm just going to start filling in quickly. You don't need to fill in all of this information, guys. The system will stop you anyway if you have skipped over something that's important. So you'll know about it if the system needs something filled in. Again, if you just hover over any of these guys, just to clarify, some people kind of saying, like, I'm not really sure what these are. If you just hover over them with your mouse, it'll give you some more information about what that is. I suppose what's particularly important on this screen is the residence type. So you can see it's defaulting to owner occupier, but if I scroll up and down, then I can access rentals and holiday homes, etc. So yeah, that's very important that you pick obviously the right one. And then that's it. I'm happy enough with the details on that screen. Click next. And then the cover start date is fine. Again, voluntary excess, I can pick one, but my advice is generally to stay away from them. Unless somebody's really price sensitive, saying like, if you give me another 20 quid off, I'll go with it. You could maybe play around with the voluntary excess. Certainly if you go into like €1,000, you're definitely going to get a cheaper price. So it might be a bit more sensitive than the motor, but yeah, it's there if you need it. Buildings. So built-in sums insured, content sums insured, and then if you want to specify an item like an engagement ring or something like that, you click on add, and then you can fill in the details here. So okay, so tick valuation. So just need to fill in when was the last valuation, because again, insurance companies, they want to know when was the valuation from to make sure that sum is relatively accurate. Okay, especially if we're dealing with something like gold, platinum, silver. If it's an old valuation date, then obviously the price may not still be correct. It could be higher or lower. So I'm just going to save that, and if I press save, you can see there's the specified item. Okay. So if you need to do that, and that's the most common thing, you can just add and specify it. There is other options here to note. Put in an unspecified amount if you want. Most policies actually give you a certain amount of unspecified cover as standard anyway, but if they wanted additional cover for unspecified, then that's the way to go. Home office, again, if they've got office equipment, laptops, printers, scanners, and they want to insure it, then you could pick an amount here. Some insurance companies may not cover it, so that might end up with some exclusions, but that's how you do it. And the same thing for caravan and small crafts. Not all the insurers will cover it, but if you do want to try it, just put in your amounts, and whoever quotes will, in theory, be covering it. To finish then down the base, I'm just filling in my no claims bonus information. So I'm 5 years claims free. I'm with AIG, and the policy is up on the 11th. Again, I don't need to put in the exact correct policy number, but I do need to put in something or our system will stop me. If I have claims, click this box and fill in the claims information. And then years with current broker, I'll just say it's with the same broker for 5 years. That's that. You can actually see on the left-hand side, this is starting to build up. So you can see all the answers to the questions, all the risk information is visible on the left-hand side of the screen. So to get our quotes down, just click next. And the system will get the quotes. Just takes a minute for them to come up. Okay, so it does look a bit different to the motor. These are all the schemes that are quoting. If you want to see these in a particular way, or you just maybe want accidental damage schemes only, if you right click here, you'll get options. So it'll say show all, show me everything. Then you've got contents that are exactly bang on 50 grand, and then show me contents that are greater than 50. So for people who have sold house insurance, you'll know that some insurance companies will work on a percentage basis. So they work on a 20%, 30%, 40% basis. So whatever you have selected as your building sums insured, say 500 grand, they will automatically give you X amount for content on a percentage basis. So that's why you have these options. Some people might want accidental damage. So if the customer wanted accidental damage and exactly 50 grand worth to cover, I could pick this one. And now I'm seeing all the schemes that are giving me AD on buildings and contents, and exactly they're 50K in cover. You can actually see down the base here what I'm getting. Okay. If you want to add on a service charge, take the box, right click, amend fee, and then we can add in our service charge. So again, that's really only relevant for people who have auto posting turned on. So I mentioned that yesterday, so that for motor and home, you can have auto posting switched on where the system will automatically raise the premium and the fee. So this is a kind of common mistake that people who have auto posting switched on for home make. They forget to add on the fee. Okay, so that's basically where you can do it. Okay, if you want to save this information, you can click options, save breakdown at all, or top 10, it's kind of whatever you want. So it's like the motor where I click print results, save to doc, save only. For compliance reasons, you need to save all this information, especially if you're putting them on cover, because in theory, the central bank could do an audit on you and they'll say, well, you sold the policy to relay test. You know, why did you do that? What were the prices that the other prices that are available? So you always need to save this information. Okay. And also there's a print option there as well. To put these on cover, just select the scheme you want to go on cover with, make sure your fee is on it, and click next. And then the system will give you the assumption screen. So these are the insurer assumptions. If you tick these no, then you're going to end up with a referral. They're not going to allow you to put them on cover. So if the answer is no to any of these, it's going to refer. Up the top here is basically where you can note or generate an indemnity letter. So you can actually ask them, is there a bank or a building society who has an interest in your property? In other words, they are the mortgager. Then you can click add and fill in the name of the bank. What that will do is it will result in an indemnity letter being included in the pack. Premises type, pick your premises, and then down the bottom you will have the options. You have two options. You can confirm, so you can print a statement of fact, a proposal, and an IPIT, because maybe that's all you want. You just want to give them a quote pack with that information. So that's basically where you need to go to get it. But alternatively, if you actually want to incept it, click confirm, and that will actually make the policy live and generate the documents. So I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to press cancel and save. And you can see now, if we just start canceling back, exit, I'm just exiting all the way out and go back to file and back to relay test. Then now you can see there's the home insurance quote been saved. There's the motor, there's the home. To get back in, just right click, risk details, and that will relaunch the home product. It should bring you back directly into Relay Test's home file. Yeah, there it is. And you can see temporary quote. So to proceed, I just need to click next and then go through the screens that we just looked at, and then obviously accept the policy. Okay. Let's have a look at van. So for ComQuote, commercial van, how do you generate that? So the same thing, I can click van in here and it'll automatically pull in Relay Test's details, or I can go back to the home screen and click van and kind of go the long way where I'll just check the database first. But just to speed things up, I'm going to go back into Relay Test and I'm going to click van. So what the system is doing here in ComQuote, it's saying, does Relay Test have a record in the ComQuote system? So ComQuote is a standalone system that can be built into Relay, or it can be used on its own. So it's saying here that no, there's no customer called Relay Test on the system. So cancel, and then it opens up the screen, and this is basically where I can fill in the details. So he's currently there as a solicitor. If I want people to quote for ComQuote, I better change into an electrician, because that's pretty much what it's designed for. It's not designed for white collar workers. And I'm just going to fill in this information. This section of this area here, it's asking me, does he have any like name driver experience, etc. You just have to add in 0 if the answer is no to any of these, okay? Because the system will stop you and needs you to fill in the information. Up the top left-hand corner, the proposer is a private individual, or is he a sole trader? Well, a lot of these guys are sole traders, but so these are LCV policy guys. So these are light commercial vehicles. They're like Toyota Land Cruisers with blacked out windows and no seats in the back. So they're like electrician, plumber type vehicles. That's so vehicles. So like the motor, we can actually put in a reg and search for the vehicle. So I do have a vehicle here. Just give me 1 second. So put in the car registration search, click look up, and then it's found the vehicle. So I need to just add in the year of the make there, 2015, and that's it. So it's found the car, but if it hasn't, I can look for it manually, the same way that I did with the private car. You can see then the base here, I can search by make or model. Just put in the name of it, like Toyota or Land Cruiser, and search, and it'll give you the database. But it's certainly easy to do with the car reg search. Press OK. That fills it in, and then the value, just kind of put in regular information here. Bonus, I'll say full, because most people who buy this would go with full. And insured only. So you can see here, this is just Relay Test, and all this is grayed out. If I want to add in additional driver, just click one name driver, and it opens up driver 1, and I can fill in that information. So that's basically how you get in there. Just toggle that down and pick another driver, and it opens it. Cover, comprehensive, TPFT, third party. So you can see here, actually, there is options for windscreen. If I picked third party fire and theft, I could tick the box to make sure I get windscreen with it. But I think it's likely if you go with comp, you'll automatically get windscreen. Okay. Principal area use. So he lives in Dublin 15, so that's basically what we're going to pick. And okay. So the ComQuote screen is quite popular with users because there's not much to it. There's not that much information that needs to be filled in. It's literally everything that you've seen on the screen. And then to get the quotes, click calculate and accept. Now, unlike motor, not all of these policies or these quotes that are going to come up will be on an EDI basis. So what I mean by that is it won't be possible to incept all of these policies through the ComQuote system. So you can actually see here, some of them are in green, and if I scroll down, I should see a couple in blue, like that one there, A or B Advantage. It actually tells you there, look, all products in green are available through EDI. So what it means is I can set them up, I can make them live, I can generate my documents through Commercial Van if they're in green. But if they're in blue, I would have to contact the insurance company, ARB. I would have to send them over information on this particular quote. So you can see you have buttons here like letters and risk, which will generate documents to give you that information. And then you can email them over to ARB to say, listen, can we put this on cover? So again, for most users, in my experience, they tend to just go with the green ones because it's a hell of a lot easier. Not going to go all the way with these, but you can see here also there's other colors going on. The red, it basically means the red is the cheapest price for each level of cover. So 694 is the cheapest TPFT, it's the cheapest TP, and then 455 is TPFT, and then comp 675. If you're putting any of these on cover, like this one here, just as an example, you just double click them, and you can see here there's a submit risk button. And that will actually bring you into another screen where the insurance company will actually look for some more information. So yes, ComQuote is a bit light on the quoting, but the reason is once you actually go to put it on cover, it will look for additional information. Okay, so and every insurer is slightly different. So the next screen differs depending on the actual insurer. So I don't want to go any further on that, guys, because this is a live system. So yeah. So to save the quote, just click save, okay, and then file and exit. And then that will save it. There it is, okay. If I want to get back into it, right click, risk details, and that will reopen it. Then click calculate and it'll recalculate. Just be careful that inception date, it tends to stick on the date that you originally quoted them. So you might just need to just rechange that. Like if they called you like in 3 days time, I'd have to change that to the 10th or the 11th or whatever date. It has to be a future date, but I think it still sticks in the past when you go back into it a few days later. Great. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about the other button. So we've done motor, home, and van, but obviously you'll sell other policies, okay? So for personal lines, it could be travel, it could be gadget. For commercial lines, it could be a number of things. It could be commercial combined, it could be engineering, it could be public liability, etc. So how do we get that information onto Relay? Well, we generally do it by using the other button, okay? The other button is what it says in the tin. It's for anything other than these products. So to use the other button, all you have to do is click it, click on the policy type, and then select the policy that you want to add on to the system. So this is very much manual, okay? There's no EDI going on here. This is not sending any information to the insurance company. So if I was loading up maybe a commercial combined policy, I just click commercial combined, I pick the correct department and the correct handler, okay? Stay away from everything else. No need to fill in anything else at this point. Press OK. It's just asking me, do I want to fill in any more information on these text tabs? So I'm saying no, I don't. I'm happy to proceed. There it is, okay? And then the next point of protocol here would be to post my premium, which would add all the information to that policy. So the policy number, I can pick the insurance company, I can add in how much I'm selling it for, etc., etc. So by posting the premium, that will add all the information of the policy onto the line. And then obviously I can receipt the money when they pay us, and I can generate letters. So if you're using the other button, you're clearly dealing with a policy that has been set up. It's going to be set up on a manual basis. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to send the information to the insurance company. So you're going to have to email them, I don't know, proposal forms. Yeah, probably a proposal form, email to them or whatever, post it to them, call them, go onto their intranet sites or extranet sites, should I say, and fill in all the details. So Relay cannot handle the likes of commercial business on an EDI basis. It only manages it manually. So it allows you to record all of your policies, it allows you to do your accounts work and generate your letters. It does not submit details to the insurance companies, okay? Now, hopefully in the future, we will be addressing that because there's certainly a big demand for it. But for now, the only policies you can accept through Relay on an EDI basis is motor, home, and van, okay? And the other button is what you use for everything else. There is also another button there called the SME button. It's for our commercial trades product, okay? Now this is only available if you have an agency with RightWay. So it allows you to get liability quotes for if you're in the commercial trades, So it's very specific. It's commercial trades, it's liability quotes, and it is with right way only. Okay, so it does need to be switched on and set up. But once you click the SME button, this trades comes up, just click risk, and that will launch the risk screens. Now, I'm not going to go through this in detail because I doubt we have very many people on this call that would actually going to be using this commercial trades product. But what I would say is it works in a very similar way to the home quotation engine we just looked at. You can actually see it looks nearly the same as it. Just obviously the difference, the screens at the top will differ. So if I click next, you can see here then it asks me for information about the company. It'll ask me for sums insured. You know, if I'm looking, it might ask you for information about turnover, about wages, etc. So I'm not going to go through all of this, but just to point out that it's there. And what you can do is you can submit the quotes through Relay to Rightway, and then they can electronically approve it or decline it. So it works on a submission basis initially. You submit the quote, and then if you come back in tomorrow, you'll be able to look up the quote again and actually see Rightway's response, i.e. that they're going to accept it or they're going to decline it. Okay, so it is good, but it's very limited in that, as I said, it only is for people in the commercial trades, and also we only have the one insurance company actually quoting on it Rightway. Okay. So we've looked at motor, home, and van in that case there. Okay.